Hello everyone. Yeah, so this was originally going to be the cartoon pitch video we were going to do for Nickelodeon. However, things have changed a bit and I wanted to talk to you about why that is and a little bit of additional context on top of everything else because I think this is important not just in terms of what we want to do but also in terms of future plans for the comic, in terms of what we want to do, how far we can take this, and basically what you can do to help this because this is potentially massive, but there's a few things we need to talk about. So the first thing I need to talk about, so I did not submit a video to Nickelodeon, and there was a couple of reasons for this, and I'm not going to say who told me this. So basically all you need to know is this person has enough experience in this field that I respect their opinion and they were looking out for us. So originally I was going to ask this person to get involved with our pitch and they said, right, I've had a look at this contest, so a couple of things you need to know. One, this seems to be more geared towards sort of women and sort of like an ethnic minorities, BAME, like however you want to define it. Like I don't want to slip up by saying the wrong term, but in effect, kind of, it would be a bad look to kind of go for this, and I respect that. So that was a big thing, number one. But I think, if I'm being brutally honest, the other big clincher was number two. If you pitch this, regardless of whether or not they pick you, they own your ideas. And I've had situations like this in the past, and I do not want to be involved in something like this. So what I've decided to do is I had to think about this because you kind of have to, and ultimately I do want to do an animated series. It is one of my life's ambitions. The other two is owning a riverside flat in Norwich with a nice balcony, it'd be wonderful, and the other ones I'd like to go to Japan at some point. But yeah, like, those things aside, the animated series would be a wonderful thing to do, and I'm going to talk a bit more about this in a bit, but I do think it's possible that we can do this as an independent series. I do think it's possible, but I will get more into that in a minute. But yeah, so first of all, I want to say a big thank you to Norzan, to Gizzy Nanel, to Khan Johnson, to everyone who has submitted promo and stuff for us. And like I say, I'm sorry that I've kind of done this in this way, but I was kind of thinking about how I wanted to do this, and I think in effect sort of don't want so much to call this an open letter, but I think with certain developments that have come up recently, I think we kind of need to have this conversation.
Hi there. You probably remember me as that person off that thing, and you'd be right. Now, I want to talk to you today about Reynard comics. And growing up as a young man in the 80s, because I do remember those times, one of the great things was Saturday morning cartoons. We had Biker Mice from Mars. We had Teenage Mutant Hero Turtles. Don't call them ninjas. We had Battle of the Planets. And these were great, exciting things to sit down on a Saturday morning and enjoy and get lost in. We don't really have that anymore until Reynard City came along. Now, Reynard City came along in book form, which meant we had to grow up a bit and read. Not the worst thing in the world, but, you know, sometimes you want to watch a thing. But what Reynard City has is vibrancy, energy, that madcap mayhem of Saturday morning comics that we all loved. And now we can have that again, and we can read the issues, and we can get lost in that world. But what we really need, and what the people are crying out for, is Reynard City to come to life. And to be there on our TV screens, like it was back off the 80s. And for that, over to you.
Okay, so in order to kind of give you a bit of context, this isn't the first time that we've been in a situation like this. So, for a while back, I'm going to include a video at the end we did work on doing a cartoon pilot a few years ago, and we had a really good team working with us. So people like Holly, Linda, Mark, Kevin, absolutely wonderful people, all tremendous. Lots of talented people. Sam, Victor, and they all believed in it and they all went for it. And I have some absolutely terrific memories of. There was like one year it was really like snowing really hard, but the guys like went into my dad's trade counter and we used it as a makeshift studio, and my mum made food for everyone, and that's an awesome memory. Like, and that was great. It was just we didn't have like the ability to kind of draw it all together, and likewise in a similar way when we tried to do like the video game concept, sort of trying to do it all together on top of everything else was hard, which is why on the website we call it proposed projects, because it's not like we're saying like these were cancelled or that they could never happen again, but realistically this is something that we wanted to go for that didn't come off. But of course, like I say, we can sort of have this conversation later on, and we might come back to this later in the video. So that was one part. Then when we did a Kickstarter to try and get funding for it, that didn't come off, but we did get a message from this person, and again, I'm not going to say who they are because I don't particularly want to, sort of cast like aspersions on them or anything like that. But they were someone who said they had connections with Cartoon Network. Now, Cartoon Network, awesome. And this person said, we can get you in this meeting, we can, get your cartoon made. I think this looks great. And the conversation goes well, and we sort of come to a broad agreement. And I get a contract drawn up, and I get it checked over a couple of times just to be on the safe side. And I mean, I will say, as I say, people involved there, really helped us out. So people I knew through networking and family and stuff who really helped me out. So that's awesome. And this person, when they saw that there was a contract to sign, then got antsy. Like, despite the fact that we were offering them more than what they wanted, they were like, "Oh, I'm not sure about this." And I sort of said to them, "Look, this is my baby, and this is what we're going to do." And they didn't go for it. So there was that. And the next story. So this is a bit different. So I can't remember what it was, but I had been given a box set of Life on Mars, and I absolutely love that show. So this is the original UK version, and I was watching the making of, and I was seeing how they had struggled, and how through like different times of pitching and getting through to the right people, they eventually got this absolutely incredible show made. So for those of you who don't know, it's about a modern day police officer who is hit by a car while trying to find a kidnapped co-worker, and when he wakes up, in effect, it's like everything is a 70s British cop show, sort of like the Sweeney, that kind of thing. And it's kind of like an odd mix between a cop show and Back to the Future, with some sort of Twin Peaks surrealism, like is this real, is this not real, thrown in. And if you haven't seen the show, it's amazing. And it's got John Sim, I think, who's absolutely amazing. I mean, Philip Glass, Gene Hunt was kind of like the more well-known character, and he's incredible as well. But my goodness, I love it. It's a wonderful show. And I thought to myself, this is such a weird idea for a show, and I like the fact that this company, Kudos, took a punt on it, so we decided to pitch to them. And thankfully, I think this again, another person I know who is a writer, offered to be our representative to kind of get us through the gates, if you like. And it got to the point where the producers of Life on Mars read, and bear in mind, we just had scripts. There was nothing else. There was just scripts at this point. They read them, and they didn't decide to go for it. So we did get to the scripting stage with a company. So this isn't isolated. This isn't random. We have got to this point with less than I would argue we have now, which is pretty cool. So when I sort of say that I would like to go for this, it's not starting from square one. That's the thing. There's enough experience and enough sort of nuance now that we know where to go from here. And this is the thing. Since then, I've also seen some things that encourage me that there is a place for us.
Hi, I'm Graham Linnell Gunton. I've been a fan of Reynard City from the very beginning, and I think it'd be absolutely fantastic if there was a TV series.
Now, one thing that does come up sometimes with the comic, and I wouldn't argue with this because I've had it levelled at myself as well, is the idea that Reynard City is weird. And you're absolutely right. It's about a superhero fox whose weakness is she inflates on contact with caramel. There's all kinds of crazy stuff going on. Wouldn't argue with that. I was once called eccentric in a school report. This was in high school. Again, not going to argue. But what I'm very happy to say is that in the intervening time, I think people are becoming more and more accepting of weird. And this year in particular has seen some interesting things getting made. So, for example, this is the year in which we have had a mainstream Marvel film, in a Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, a multiverse film, a film in which briefly at one point the characters turn into paint. You know, it's weird, and if you said that out loud, and I reckon if you didn't have Marvel behind it, people would be like, what the heck are you talking about? We have also had The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, in which Nicolas Cage plays himself, and it's an action thriller set around someone who wants to make a film with Nicolas Cage, and this person may or may not be a drug lord, and this person is Pedro Pascal, and Pedro Pascal is typically sweet and charming, and I love him, and that's got nothing to do with anything, but you know, look at him, he's like a puppy in human form. I love him. Anyway, moving on. And you've got, so say another, you know, The Norseman, which is this kind of surreal take on, you know, the typical sort of revenge story, and like this was by the same director who had a black and white sort of horror type film set in a lighthouse. You know, there's that. But I think for me, the big show that inspired me, I don't say big show, it was actually a film. And you're probably not going to be surprised because I've mentioned this before, but I'm going to say it again. Everything, Everywhere, All at Once, just, because the insane thing with this film, and I really want people to experience this, so I'm going to try and keep the gushing to a minimum, but it is a multiverse film. It's a family drama, it's philosophical, and again, a bit like with Life on Mars, all of these things smushed together shouldn't work. It's insane, it's something else, but it does. And the reason it does is because the people behind it believed in it, they got the quality behind in it, and the heart's there. And I think audiences can handle more than I think sometimes people think. You know, like the fact that Inception was a massive thing. Like when you break down something like Inception, you think, you know, this is a weird sort of heady kind of thing, but it got made. I mean, okay, partially you can argue because Christopher Nolan, you know, gave them some big hits, but equally, it was because of the quality behind it, because of the faith in the project, and we can argue, you know, blah blah blah, Paprika, DuckTales, you know, and insert whatever. Oh, it's not as original as you think. Yeah, Bicky for you, mate. You know, everyone has inspirations, and everyone can point to things. But my point is that something being weird doesn't have to preclude it from being made. So there's that. I mean, finally, what I want to talk about, and I think kind of more relevant to what we're doing, because even at the point of, say, Everything Everywhere All at Once, that was an A24 produced film, which, whilst it's kind of the more independent end of the studio system, is still a studio, but see it do really well. It's absolutely awesome. But here's the thing: there's good and bad about this, and like I say, I want to be careful about this because, like I say, I don't want this to be one of those things where I say it and it gets like sort of thrown back at me like things change, because things can always change. Here's the thing: here's the stuff that worries me and the stuff that inspires me. So what's been worrying me? Well, I don't have to repeat what dozens of videos have already said about HBO Max and the issues with things like, say, Final Space getting wiped out and all these shows that are being locked, and like I said, and the fact that especially animation's getting hit. Like, I find that genuinely sad. I think, and the decisions that are being made on that end, like, it is genuinely disappointing, and creative talent deserves better. I think there's that. And you've also got the Netflix thing is interesting because they, on the one hand, like, they've been cutting back, and obviously there are certain practices, like with the Cuphead show, where they sort of tried to reword things to sort of try and wrangle out of pay, which, I mean, yes, it was terrible, but like, Hollywood accounting is nothing new. Let's as much as it's bad, it's not unique to that situation. But yeah, like, if people who are working hard are, not getting their due, I mean, that is genuinely sad. That being said, I do think Netflix have produced some absolutely excellent animation recently. I mean, the reboot of Voltron, the reboot of She-Ra, like I say, the Cuphead show. I think the Cuphead show is terrific. I think they've done some absolutely excellent stuff, and I like when they have taken these things on that, they are there. I'll be interested to see what they do with Sonic Prime. I think that's potentially very interesting. I'd like to see more than a teaser. That's it. So there's that. I mean, my point being, like, studios cutting back on animation does make me nervous. I'm not gonna lie. And it's a genuine shame because, like I say, I would want to pitch that. But, like, for example, like, someone might argue, like, why don't you try, like, say, the BBC? And then you see, like, the BBC are pushing, the CBBC online and things. So it's like, yeah, that's not going to make things easier, I don't think. Because, again, there is that sort of area of this. And the thing is, going independent is a challenge, but there are people doing it. And the one I wanted to highlight, because it was a personal inspiration to me, and in a weird way they've kind of inspired me twice, is Team Season 3. So for those of you who don't know what Team Season 3 is, so back in the day there was the second Sonic animated series, which was confusingly called Sonic the Hedgehog, which was the second one after Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog. Now, I liked Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog. I grew up with it as a kid. It was fun. It was a silly, wacky, sort of Looney Tunes kind of take on Sonic, which, whilst it was deep as a puddle, it was fun. It was fun and enjoyable, and, as I say, if I watched it today, I'd still enjoy it. And, and every time I do see it, it's like silly, and obviously you have like the things like the Pingus meme and all that rubbish. It's just, again, good clean fun. But the second one, Sonic Saturday AM, as it has since been called, brilliant show, and dark and fascinating, and like this idea of like this kind of dystopian world, so well handled, and I used to love it as a kid. And like the Mega Fox creation is actually taken from like the opening of the show. They had like this metal fox walking back, and I just thought it looked cool, and I just thought I liked the idea of that as a main villain, and certain elements then kind of went from there. So it would be silly to sort of deny that it was an influence, because it was, and but we did, I think, over time we've kind of developed more and more as our own thing. But the reason why I think I want to highlight this is the second series of Saturday AM ended on a cliffhanger, which, can't believe that, ridiculous, and people are bringing it back. This is the thing, there is going to be a fan version, they are bringing it back, and I think that's absolutely amazing. And I've been looking at some of their live streams, I've been looking at some of their videos, and it's inspiring. It is really inspiring, because I think they have that genuine passion, and you can see it. You can see the work that's going into it, and they want it to be as good as possible, and that is wonderful. I love that. and there's plenty of other sort of indie things like this that are out there, and there's a few local ones and what have you. And I would love to get to that point. I would love to be at that point where that level of quality is there. Now, the question is, of course, how we do that, and this is the next bit. Okay, so this section is called Future Goals, but this is going to sound a bit wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey, but hopefully it will make sense in a minute. So, the future goals that we have are, weirdly enough, connected with the goals that we have right now. So, what do I want to do? We want to finish off this story. I think that is big thing number one. With the last webcomic series, I didn't get to finish it off, and there were numerous reasons why. We don't have to get into that. But just to remind folks, in case they're wondering where the webcomic series are, still available. You go onto the archive section, and once again, big thank you to Joe and Jim at Visualize for maintaining our website, because you can go there, and it's kind of like if you're in a library or a shop, you can click on the file, and then you can physically read through it like it's a comic, but you click on the corner and drag it. I like it. It's a cool touch. I mean, there's mixed views on it. I like it. But yeah, what we're doing from this point, there's, we've already had 5 issues that are out. The guys have done a terrific job. I'm really happy with the work that's gone into this, with the effort that's there, and, some terrific artwork, it has to be said. And we are now in the process, we are working on issue 6. We've got some artists that are working on that, so I'm very happy to say that we've got some people returning. So for the main issue, Capitaine Reynard, aka Ellie Delisle Reynard Lafortune, is back, which is wonderful. We've also got Emily Bandicoot is going to be doing the side story, and also Blue Ike, aka Dane Ike, who did a Revelation, which we included in last issue. So there's going to be 3 stories on all in issue 6, and they are all going to tie together. That's the thing with each of these. There's reasons why they're in there, and hopefully by the time this 6th issue is out, you'll understand why. And I don't want to hype it up too much, but yeah, this one, I've been waiting. This is another one of those ones that I've been waiting to do for a while, and we managed to do that with issue 5, and we managed to get a big story that we didn't do before done. So we've had the Squirmy and Zedite story done, which I'm really chuffed with, and Ellie did a terrific job at that. I'm really happy with that. And like I say, there's more to come with this. So there's going to be 9 issues in total, and we have a plan for issue 6. There is something in the pipeline for 8 and 9. I can't mention that any further. There's that. Yeah, and in between that, as I say, we'll hopefully work on sort of securing someone for issue 7, but we've got some time to work on that. Because as a reminder, each of these issues takes about a year to make, and it's a really hard balance, because you want to give the artists time, but you want to keep the momentum going. You want the best quality for the readers. I think the thing is, people sort of think, it's an easy thing, but it is a hard balance to sort of put together. And I do think, bless them, the guys have worked really hard, and whether you like a certain person's style or not doesn't matter. They all work hard, and they're all great artists, and I've got a lot of respect for all of them. So there's that. But here's the thing: we have goals for this coming year. So issue 6, we have updated the goals on Ko-fi and Patreon. So the idea is on either of those, if you donate to them, that will get us closer. So this year, we want to get issue 6 completed, a print run, at the very least to go out to Norcon, which I had an absolutely amazing time this year, and I think and we'll include a link at the end. Absolutely incredible. Once again, it was so great to see everyone, the support, the contacts we've had since Norcommon. We've had more sales, we've had more people interacting with us, and including on this channel. So we had like a new subscriber sort of come off this as well, which is absolutely brilliant, and I'm hoping we can keep building on that. So that's terrific. So if we can do this with the next issue as well, that would be absolutely amazing, because then, like I say, because we'll have in effect two trilogies that we can sort of sell together. I think which would be good, because the way it's going to work, there will be 9 issues of this series, and that will be the complete thing. Like you will be able to own it from beginning to end, and the story will make sense. And before anyone makes any cracks about a certain sci-fi series, yes, we have a game plan for the whole thing. We already have a game plan for the whole thing. We have a short story series which sort of has this lined up. So if you go on our Patreon, it is available, and we have some really good illustrations by Jen Clare and William Butler that are part of it. But the way we're going to do it in this series is not necessarily going to be the same as those short stories. So if you read the short stories and you think, I know how all of this goes, you don't. Like, let's just say there might be a few twists in there as well, and it's really hard. I kind of want to say more, but I can't say more. But when we get nearer the time, like, there's already been a setup at the end of issue 5, and when we do, like, we've got some trailers that we want to do for this later on, they will have an indicator of where this is going, and I'm so excited. But like I said, I've got to kind of work on this. So with each time we hit these goals, this money allows us to do this. It allows us to put things forward. It allows us to give more money to the artists that work on this, because if you are backing us with that, if you are buying things in the shop, if you're buying them physically from Bookbugs and Dragon Tales, or they do post around the UK, or if you're getting them from Canary Comics or Beckles Books, you are getting them from the shop. You are backing the shop as well as us, which is wonderful. Like I said, if you get it through the Ko-fi, then you're backing us, and we can pass that on to the artists. And in each instance, so for example with the print comics, we are getting them through Minuteman Press. We are supporting them. The more we can do this, the more we can support local businesses. So, I want to do some more events. I'd like to then, support them. I would like to support more cosplayers. I'd like to support more people in commissions. But like, this is just it. Each time you do this, you're helping us out. And the thing is, once we hit this issue 6 goal, we can then move on to the issue 7 goal. We can then move on to the issue 8 goal, to the issue 9 goal. And all of this will kind of help these things move forward. And if you want these comics, I mean, I can't guarantee how quickly we can get them, but almost certainly if we got more money that meant people could put more focus on art, it increases the chances of it getting sped up, put it that way. So, if you want these comics sooner, that's what you've got to do. And equally, like I say, you've got these digital comics, and, with the digital box set, you can get the whole lot in one go. I mean, some people prefer print, more power to you. But once that's done, so going back to sort of the main topic at hand, what about the cartoon? And herein is the point. We want to get this done. Once we have this series done, in effect, that's our IP. That is the thing we can put forward and say, this is a thing that exists. This is a thing with a beginning, middle, and end, and a clear structure that you can work with. And how you want to work with it, well, that's different, because people might have different ideas. The process of adaptation, just because we have ideas, it might be different. But of course, we want to work with these people. In an ideal world, as I say, the independent course that I would like to do, i.e. that we get someone on board who understands the animation process and sort of handles that end, whilst we sort of have the ideas, and we have voice actors, we have music, we have all kinds of folks that we could get working on this project. Like, there's a fair amount that we can do ourselves, and this is the thing: the fair amount isn't everything. And also, I'm going to talk a bit about this because, like I said, I don't want to sort of go this, because, like I say, there are certain core members of the cast. I want them because they've put the energy into it, and I think they suit the parts they play. But I would like to include people. So, like I say, Lenore Zan, who expressed an interest, and I personally think, both as a person and as a sort of MP and political figure, I think she's very inspiring. So that's cool. In terms of who I'd have her voice in the cast, there's a few people that I'd like. I mean, whether or not she'd go for it, I mean, like I say, we can discuss like other characters at a later point. But so, for example, I reckon she'd be awesome as Temptress, because I think she's got that incredible voice. I think it would suit that sort of charm, and I think she'd do that very well. I think sort of voicing Sal's mum, because again, I think she's got a certain presence, and I think that would work for her as well. I think there's a few characters where I think she'd go in there very nicely. Like I said, there's a few sort of people that I know that I would love to sort of put in there as part of it. So, I mean, one thing they did with like the Batman cartoons quite a lot was, in effect, sort of legacy cameos. And like, I think it was in the Batman they had Kevin Conroy as Batman's dad, and then I forget the name of the guy that like did the voice for that. But there's been like a few cartoons where they've done that, and I do think, and obviously in the original animated series, before someone says Adam West voicing the Grey Ghost, that was an inspiration for Batman, which I thought, I mean, that's a wonderful episode, and I think that kind of thing is great, where it's like they're not mocking what came before, they kind of honour it, and I think you want a bit of that too, and like I say, there might be like other voice actors where if you could get them in, you would, because there's all these absolutely incredible, amazing, and I'm sure you could put underneath like 1,000,001 names that would be a massive boost to this. And there's a few like online people, I think, like Jaden Libran, who are absolutely terrific and have great talent. I think Britty Voices is amazing. There's lots of them. Like I say, there's lots of people that I would love to like include as part of the group, who I think would bolster what we have. Like that is, and like I say, that is not to do down the people that we've got in the group. It's just, I think I would want that additional element on top of what we have, which would be that next extra push of quality. Now, in order to get said extra push of quality, especially if you're going to do this independently, it will take money. Like that, there is no denying that it will take money, which is why if we keep hitting those goals, we get close to that point where we can do it, where we will be able to sort of get things out there to the point where people will take notice, and which is where you come in. Yes, so this is the final part where we say what you can do. Now, I get messages from people saying, oh, when are you going to do this? Have you thought of doing this? Have you tried XYZ? And here's the thing. Yes, there are a lot of things I would like to do. As I say, we have these proposed project sections, so you can see for yourself how we've tried to do this, and for whatever reason it hasn't quite come off. And I do feel a bit gutted, because people have put a lot of work in, and it didn't come out to the level that I wanted. And I think what I learned from doing this previously is trying to do everything at once doesn't work. And I think what will work better is to get this comic done first. Like, that is the priority, and I think it's the only fair way to do it, because I want to make sure this is done. We are very close to getting it done, so like I say, the aim is 9 issues, and we're currently working on issue 6. So progress is being made, and like I say, we are gearing up to a big finale. I don't want to spoil it too much, but like I say, if you've read to to the end of issue 5, you know that it is going somewhere. But yeah, like I say, for those of you who haven't, as I say, you can get the digital comic, you can get up to speed very quickly if you want to do it that way. I mean, if you want to get all the print ones, also an option. So yeah, there's a few things that you can do. So, like I said, the easiest one is obviously sharing the comic. That's something, you know, like when we post links, share links. When, you know, a video comes up, like the video, subscribe, you know, it's the things that you see people posting videos say all the time, but it's true. It is true on a simple level. If you post these things out more people see them. Like, for example, it is not a coincidence that the Norcon video, we've been getting more video links on that because more people, you know, are interested in the fact that it's a Norcon video. So there's that, but we would love it if those people then, you know, subscribed, if those people then shared these things and then sort of helped get it out there. You know, it would make a difference. And likewise, so just as a little statistical, use the words, thing. So we currently have over 7,000 followers on Twitter. So let's keep the maths very simple because I'm rubbish at maths. So if 10% of those people give us $1, that's $700. And we could do a considerable amount with $700. Now let's say that is $700 a month. We can do a massive amount with $700 a month. You know, and as we say this, if those people then make it $2, you get where I'm going with this. So if you're one of those people thinking like, oh, I can only do a little bit or I can't do that much, if everyone does a little bit, we could do a massive amount with this. We really could, because I think we've managed to do a fair amount already with some support. So, I mean, I am really grateful. So, for example, Sarfs the Spaniel, Rev 701, you know, we've had some, you know, great people who've regularly backed us. We've had people like Edward Cousins Lake, who's supported us for years. We've had, like I say, local businesses like Visualize who've been absolutely amazing supporting us. Bad Marketing, because we did the issue 1 launch event, and that got a lot of people, you know, sort of through the door. So I do have an idea for January for that. So there's that too. And this is the thing: the more help we get, the more that can be done. So, like I say, on the most basic level, sharing this out is massive. So, sharing the links, encouraging people to have a look, encouraging people to give it a try. And here's the thing: like sometimes you'll go, I was like, oh, my nephew or my other, you know, or like it's like, cool, you give it a try too. Like, give it a shot. Because fair play, I've had some people, and I did have someone come up to me, not on saying like they gave it a go, it wasn't for them, and they passed it on to a sibling, and it's like, that's cool. Like, you gave it a shot. If you give it a shot and you don't like it, fair enough. But I like it when people give it a go. So there's that. And like I said, the next level then, like I say, is donating to it. So we have Ko-fi, we have Patreon, we have PayPal, we have things that you can buy. Like I say, if you do one of those things, that's massive. That is getting us out there. It is brilliant. And again, if that's also coupled with encouraging people, that's really big. The other thing is to let people know that you want this, that you want to see this animated series, that you want people to know that this is the thing that you want. Awesome. Only thing I will say with that, please make it respectful. So, 1, please focus on the positives. I do not want to hear other characters being trashed, you know, to sort of try and big up our characters. I'm not a fan of that. 2, like, obviously don't harass people. So, like, no spamming, no, like, insulting of companies, etc. Like, no, please don't do that. Like I say, or like any individuals. Like, I know, like, to be honest, like most people of this, you guys are sensible. Like, you wouldn't do that. But there's that. So yeah, so those things. I mean, like I say, we've got people who've been doing fan art for us, and to be fair, have been doing it for a long while, and commissions and what have you. Awesome, more of that, please, because again, that gets it out there. Because I would love to do more, because in a weird way, when you commission an artist, like, you are not only getting a picture from them, but you then, if they post it out, like, that's, their fan base having a look at you. And of course, there is no guarantee that those people will look into what you do. There's no guarantee that they'll come on board. But it's another shot, and that's the thing. And the more other shots you have, the law of averages is you will hit that one group that are like, oh wow, we actually want to be on board with this, and we want to make this a thing. And we've had some of this already, and it's been fantastic. And like I say, at public events, like when we were at Norcon, and when you have people that come back, it's wonderful. And like I say, we got to chat with them, and we got to help them out, and give people advice on what they're doing, because we've been through enough that we can kind of give you some tips to kind of help you through tough times. This is why we do the creative tips thing. But yeah, we are at a point now that this is possible. That's the thing. I'm not telling you like this thing where sometimes you sort of say, oh, wouldn't this be lovely? No. We can do this. It is possible, and I've seen people do it. That's the thing. I've seen like Deadpool the musical. I've seen Super Happy Fun Time. I've seen all these people that have produced things, and to be fair, people like doing like the 48-hour film challenge. Things are possible. And the thing is, my feeling with the comic, as much as anything, is that this has been an incredible, group project, and the more people have come on, it's been wonderful sort of having them as part of it. And I think what's really crucial is that we all work together on this, and that we do what we can to get this out there, because a lot of people have put work into this. It's not just me, and it will never just be me. And to be honest, like I say, if it had just been me, these would just be like the script on a bit of paper. It would not go anywhere. But we've been so lucky with the level of talent that's gone into this, and like I said, in some cases, those people going on to make awesome things themselves, like down with Vanguard, and Susie's artwork is wonderful, and so on and so forth, and that's really cool. But I do think, for whatever reason, because I've worked on other things, but this sticks, and I believe we have something, and it's about making that thing as big as we can make it, and with your help we can further build on this, we can further make this worth the effort. So in effect, this cartoon pitch was something that we started off wanting to pitch to Nickelodeon, but now this is pitched to you. You are the studio. You are the people that can get this made. You are the people that can get this greenlit. And you can get this greenlit, like I said, if everyone did this for as little as a couple of quid. And you know what? I really think that you are someone who is awesome enough to make that effort, to that little bit more. If everyone makes that little bit of effort, we can make this possible. And if you want to know more, please get in touch. I'll be happy to have a chat. Much love. Bye.